The rain had been falling for 3 days straight, the kind of slow, steady drizzle that made the city smell like wet pavement and old secrets. Daniel Whitaker stood by the kitchen window, holding a mug of coffee gone cold, watching the water bead and slide down the glass. It was Saturday, the day he and Emily used to make pancakes, the day they laughed in pajamas while the dog barked at the smell of bacon. Now the kitchen felt like a museum exhibit. The counters were clean, too clean. The kind of clean that meant someone was avoiding being home long enough to make a mess. Emily was upstairs getting ready. For what, Daniel wasn't sure. She said she had a client meeting. But Emily was a freelance graphic designer, and as far as Daniel knew, clients didn't ask to meet on weekends wearing perfume that cost half a paycheck. He took another sip of his bitter coffee, his mind turning over things he didn't want to think about. The way she angled her phone away from him. How she started going for evening walks just before dinner. How she laughed at things she wouldn't explain. He wasn't the jealous type. Not really. But lately, he felt like a man walking through his own life as a guest, someone who didn't belong anymore. He heard her footsteps on the stairs. "Morning," she said, her voice bright, too bright. She wore a cream sweater, skinny jeans, and boots that looked new. Her hair was tied up in a loose knot, a few strands falling effortlessly over her face, the kind of effortless that took effort. "You look nice," he said. She smiled faintly. "Thanks. I'm meeting a client at that cafe downtown, the one near Hawthorne. You know it?" He nodded. "Yeah. The one with the blue chairs." She hesitated, just for a heartbeat, a tiny, imperceptible pause that felt like an earthquake in Daniel's chest. "Yeah, that's the one," she said quickly, grabbing her coat. "You want me to drive you? It's raining pretty hard." "No, it's fine. I'll take the Subaru." Daniel watched as she kissed him lightly on the cheek, a kiss that felt more like punctuation than affection, and left. The door clicked shut, the sound echoing through the empty house. The rain fell harder. He didn't follow her that morning. He told himself it was paranoia. That maybe she really did have a client. That maybe the perfume wasn't for anyone else. But by the following weekend, the same story repeated, the same cafe, the same sweater, the same faintly sweet perfume that didn't belong in their kitchen. By the third time, Daniel broke. That Saturday, he waited until she left, then grabbed his jacket and keys. He told himself he just needed to see. Not confront. Not accuse. Just see. Portland traffic was light that morning, gray mist curling around the bridges as he drove toward Hawthorne. The rain had softened into a whisper. When he reached the cafe, he parked across the street, his heart pounding like it was trying to escape his chest. Through the window, he saw her. She wasn't alone. Emily sat at a corner table, facing a man Daniel had never seen before. Tall. Dark hair. Clean cut. The kind of confidence that came from knowing you were being watched and not caring. She laughed, that laugh, the one Daniel hadn't heard in months. The one that used to belong to him. The man reached across the table and brushed her hand, just briefly, but enough to make Daniel's stomach twist. He couldn't breathe. It felt like watching someone else's life crumble, like a movie he didn't remember agreeing to watch. He drove home in silence, the wipers keeping rhythm with his thoughts. He didn't cry. He didn't shout. He just sat in the driveway until the car went cold. When Emily came home later, she was humming. "How was the meeting?" he asked. "Good," she said easily, slipping off her boots. "Client loved the design. I think it might turn into a long-term project." He smiled, a dead, hollow smile. "That's great." She didn't notice the tremor in his voice. Or maybe she did, and decided not to. For 2 weeks, Daniel pretended. He cooked dinner. Asked about her day. Kissed her goodnight. He played the role of the devoted husband, while inside him, something dark and unfamiliar began to grow, not rage, not yet, but something colder. Something patient. He started checking her phone when she was in the shower. Nothing obvious, she was careful. The messages were deleted, call history clean. But one night, he found a name in her calendar, 3 p.m/the loft. He didn't know what the loft was. Until he searched online and found it, a boutique hotel on the edge of downtown, known for its artistic atmosphere. He felt his stomach drop. That Friday, when she said she was meeting a friend, Daniel waited until she left, then followed her again. He parked a few blocks away and watched as she walked into the loft. 10 minutes later, the same man from the cafe arrived. They didn't come out for over 2 hours. When she returned home that night, she kissed him again, a ghost of affection that now burned like acid. "How was your friend?" he asked. She hesitated. "Good. We had a lot to talk about." He nodded. "I bet." That night, he couldn't sleep. The house groaned softly with the wind, and beside him, Emily slept soundly, her breathing slow and even. He stared at the ceiling and realized something quietly horrifying. He didn't want to leave her. He wanted her to hurt. The next morning, he started planning. He knew she had access to his laptop for their shared finances. He also knew she used her work email for everything. So he waited for the right moment, when she left for yoga class, and logged in through her saved passwords. There it was. An email chain. Subject: "Can't wait to see you again." He scrolled. The messages were intimate, casual, filled with inside jokes and half-hidden references to moments they'd shared. They signed off with E and M. The man's name was Mark Hensley. He was a marketing consultant, married, with 2 kids. The hypocrisy made Daniel's blood boil. He didn't reply. Not yet. But he saved every email. Every picture. Every proof. He waited. A week later, when she came home from another meeting, Daniel was waiting in the kitchen. He'd cooked dinner, candles, wine, her favorite pasta. She smiled, surprised. "What's all this?" "I just thought we could have a night in," he said softly. "We haven't done that in a while." She looked touched, maybe even guilty, and sat down. They ate, talked, laughed awkwardly. It almost felt normal. Then, when she reached for her glass, he said quietly, "How's Mark?" The sound of her name freezing in midair. Her hand trembled. "What?" "Mark Hensley," he repeated, calm as the rain outside. "You know, the guy from the loft. The one you've been seeing for about 3 months." Her face went pale. "Daniel, I..." "Don't," he said sharply. "Don't lie to me again." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just, I felt lonely, and you were so distant, and he..." He slammed his hand on the table. The wine glass tipped, spilling red like blood across the tablecloth. "Don't you dare blame me for this." She flinched. He stood, pacing, his voice shaking. "Do you have any idea what it's like to watch you walk out that door every weekend, knowing you're going to him? To sit here and pretend everything's fine while you're out there giving my life away?" She was sobbing now, her hands covering her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." "You didn't hurt me," he said coldly. "You killed me." 2 days later, she moved out. She said she needed space. That she wanted to think. He let her go, quietly, calmly. But he wasn't done. He printed the emails, the photos, the hotel receipts, and sent them anonymously to Mark's wife. Within a week, Mark's perfect suburban life was in flames. His wife left him, taking the kids. His company dropped him after a scandal hit the local news, leaked photos, exposed affair. Daniel never confessed. He didn't have to. He simply sat by his window one night, watching the rain fall again, his reflection fractured in the glass. Emily called once, crying, begging to talk. He didn't answer. By the time she returned home weeks later, divorce papers were waiting on the kitchen table. The house was silent. Her key still fit the lock, but nothing else did. Outside, the rain kept falling, steady, relentless, cleansing. As if the city itself knew the truth long before he did.